Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's lesson is going to be on male reproductive system, which is a very important topic for higher secondary and medical students and also for B.Sc and M.Sc courses in physiology, biology, etc. So, the male reproductive system includes penis, testes, epididymis, scrotum, prostate gland, seminal vesicle and vas deferens. And the penis is the male sex organ, and in this video lecture I will discuss about what is male reproductive system and the primary and the secondary sex organ which involves in the male reproductive system. So watch the video till then to get each and every detailed information about male reproductive system. And if you do not subscribe my channel, then immediately subscribe it and press the bell icon to get all important updates. Okay, good luck. So let's start the discussion about the male reproductive system. Reproductive system that ensure the continuation of species. Gonads are the primary reproductive organs which produce the gametes, that is egg or ovum, and a pair of testes that produces sperms in male, and a pair of ovaries produces ovum in females. Normally, most of the animals including humans are either definite males or definite females. However, in some organisms like earthworm and snails, both sexes may be present in the same organism, and this condition is known as the hermaphroditism. In humans and most of the higher animals, reproduction occurs sexually, that is by mating. And however, there are some species like insects which can produce offspring without mating. So, male reproductive system consists of a number of sex organs that play a role in the process of human reproduction. And the reproductive organs are located in the outside of the body and within the pelvis. Male reproductive system includes the primary sex organ, which is testis, the secondary sex organ that includes vas deferens, scrotum, epididymis, testicles, seminal vesicle, ejaculatory duct, prostate gland, Cooper's gland, penis and urethra. And the third is external genital organs, that is penis and scrotum. The organ of male reproductive system are specialized for three primary functions. The first is to produce and maintain and transport and nourish the sperm and protective fluid, and to discharge. The second is to discharge sperm into female genital tract, and the last is to produce and secrete male sex hormones, that means androgens. Now we will going to discuss about the brief description of the male reproductive system, beginning with the primary sex organ. Testis. It has three layers. The first is the tunica vaginalis, which is the outermost layer of the testis. And tunica vaginalis divides into two layers, that is tunica parietal and tunica visceral. Second is the tunica albuginea, which is the middle layer of the testis. And third is the tunica vasculosa. This is the innermost layer of the testis. So, tunica vaginalis is the outermost closed cleft-like covering formed by mesothelial cell, and it is formed by visceral and parietal layer, and which glide on one another and allow the free movement of testis. The visceral layer of the tunica vaginalis adheres to tunica albuginea, and the parietal layer lines the inner surface of the scrotum. The tunica albuginea is the middle covering of the testis, and it is a dense of a fibrous capsule. And the last is tunica vasculosa, is the innermost covering of the testis, and it is made up of connective tissue, and it is rich in blood vessels. And the anterior and the lateral surface of the testis are covered by all the three layers, but posterior surface of the testis is covered by only tunica albuginea layers. We will discuss about the functional anatomy of the testis. Testes are the primary sex organ or gonads in males. There are two testes in almost all the species in humans, and in humans beings both the testes are ovoid or walnut shaped bodies that are located and suspended in a sac-like structure that is called scrotum. So this is the picture of a testis, and each testis weigh about 15 to 19 gram, measures about 4 to 5 centimeters in length and 2 to 3 centimeters in width. And testis is made up of about 900 coiled tubules known as the seminiferous tubules, which produces the sperms. Then the seminiferous tubule continues as vas deferens or the ductus deferens. Vas deferens is also called ductus deferens and spermatic deferens or sperm duct. And from the epididymis in the scrotum, the vas deferens extends its one side upwards into the abdominal cavity and via inguinal canal. The terminal end of the portion of the vas deferens is known as the ampulla. Ampulla of vas deferens joins the duct of seminal vesicle of the same side to form ejaculatory duct. Thus, there are two ejaculatory ducts, each of which receives sperm from the vas deferens and secretion of seminal vesicle on its own side. Both of the ejaculatory duct empty into a single urethra, and actually ejaculatory ducts open into a prostatic part of the urethra. And each testis has 200 to 300 lobules, and each lobules contains 1 to 4 coiled tubules known as the seminiferous tubules, which are surrounded and supported by interlobular connective tissue. And seminiferous tubules do not end bluntly but from single, double or triple arches, and limbs of an arch are not in the same lobule. Retitestis is a network of a thin wall channels present in the mediastinum, and all the seminiferous tubules open into the retitestis. And from retitestis about 18 to 15 tubules arises, that is called vas efferens or efferent ductules. And vas deferens join together and to form the head of the epididymis, and then converge to form the duct of epididymis. And then the duct of epididymis is an enormously convoluted tubule with a length of about 4 meters, and it begins at the head where it receives vas deferens. At the caudal pole of testis, epididymis turns sharply upon itself and continues as vas deferens. So, vas deferens is a pathway which connects the vasa efferentia. So, the testis has two major functions itself, that to produce sperm within the seminiferous tubules and to synthesize and secrete androgens in the site of the production, that is Leydig cell. And the Leydig cell secrete the male androgen, that is testosterone. The next male sex organ which involved in the male reproductive system is the epididymis, which is a long whitish mass of highly coiled tubular structure that is located on the posterior part of the testis. Next is the function of the epididymis. Epididymis is a temporary storage of sperms. It can store the sperm till about 1 month, and sperms and move out from here during the ejaculation. And in the epididymis, the functional maturation of the sperm takes place, and that's why the sperms gain motility. And before this, the sperms are not non-motile, and they move due to the fluid. And in the epididymis, it concentrated by the action of the ion channels. Next is vas deferens. It is also known as the sperm duct, which is a thin tube approx 30 centimeters long, single but longer than vasa efferentia. That the vas deferens starts from the epididymis to the pelvic cavity, and it carries the spermatozoa or the sperms. Next is the pathway of the sperm. Through the seminiferous tubule, the sperms are generated, and then through the straight tubule, that are tubular recti, they pass through the retitestis, and which is a passage to reach the vasa efferentia, which are 15 to 20 in number. Then through the coil structure known as the epididymis, and from epididymis they pass through the vas deferens, and in the vas deferens they functionally mature, and through the ejaculatory duct it reaches to the urethra, and then finally finally to outside of the body. Here is the cross section of the seminiferous tubule. This is a picture of the seminiferous tubules, and this is the Sertoli cell. This is the Leydig cell, the flower-like structure. This is the Leydig cell. Leydig cell is also known as the interstitial cells of Leydig. This is the mature sperms. So, the wall of the seminiferous tubules, it contains a simple cuboidal epithelial cells that is known as spermatogonia or the primordial germ cell, that forms further the male gamete that called sperm or the spermatozoa. So, the spermatogenic cell or the germ cell present in the seminiferous tubules, they are the precursor cell of the spermatozoa. And these cells lie in between the Sertoli cells and are arranged in an orderly manner in 4 to 8 layers. In children, the testis is not fully developed. Therefore, in the spermatogenic cells are in the primitive stage that calls spermatogonia. With the onset of puberty, the spermatogonia develops into sperm through the different stages. From the spermatogonium, it converts into primary spermatocyte. Then from primary spermatocytes, it converts into the secondary spermatocyte. Then secondary spermatocyte matures into spermatid, which is a mature sperm. We have already seen that the cross section of the seminiferous tubule, and in the cross section of the seminiferous tubule, we have seen that there are some long cells lie between the spermatogonia cell, that is called the Sertoli cell or the nurse cell or the somatic cell. The Sertoli cell are the supporting cells for spermatogenic cell in the seminiferous tubules, and these cells are also called the sustentaculous cell or the nurse cell. Sertoli cell are the large and tall irregular columnar cell extending from basement membrane of the lumen of the seminiferous tubules. And the germ cells that present in the seminiferous tubule are attached to the Sertoli cells by means of cytoplasmic connection, and this attachment between germ cell and Sertoli cell exists till the mature spermatozoa are released into the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. So let's start the discussion about the functions of the Sertoli cell. So, Sertoli cell provides support, protection and nourishment for the spermatogenic cells present in the seminiferous tubule. They support and nourish and the spermatogenic cell till the spermatozoa are released from them. So that means it provide a nutrition to the growing sperm or the spermatids. That's why the Sertoli cell known as the sustentacular cell or the nurse cell. It secretes the androgen binding protein that is essential for testosterone activity and especially during spermatogenesis. So androgen binding protein, it concentrated the testosterone so that it becomes more active. It also secretes inhibin hormone, which inhibits the secretion of the FSH or the follicle stimulating hormone from the anterior pituitary. Sertoli cell also secrete Mullerian regression factor or the anti-Mullerian hormone in the fetal testes. It also called the Mullerian inhibiting substances, and it prevents the generation of the female characteristics in the male embryo. And the Sertoli cell also secrete the enzyme aromatase, which converts androgen into estrogen. And Sertoli cell also act as a blood testis barrier, which is a mechanical barrier that separates blood from the seminiferous tubule of the testis. It occurs because the sperms are haploid, so they acting like foreign material to the body's immune system, because all the other body cells are diploid. So the sperms are haploid and they may be distracted from the body's immune system. So the Sertoli cell doesn't allow the sperm to move towards the blood, so it acts as a barrier that helps in the protecting sperm. It also protects the seminiferous tubules and the spermatogenic cell by preventing the entry of any toxic substances from blood and fluid of the surrounding tissue. However, blood testis barrier permits substances which are essential for the spermatogenic cell, and it also prevents the development of autoimmune disorders by inhibiting the movement of the antigenic products of sperm, that products of spermatogenesis from testis into blood. And the Sertoli cells also has a phagocytosis action to destroy the dead sperms. Then there are interstitial cells of Leydig that are found in the interstitium, known as the Leydig cell or the interstitial cells of Leydig, that found adjacent to the seminiferous tubules in the testicles and produce the testosterone in presence of the luteinizing hormone. The testosterone then enters into the seminiferous tubule and helps in the process of the spermatogenesis. Here is some important information about testis which I will discuss to you. So, beginning with the discussion of the testis, I would like to tell you that the testis, it has a length of 4 to 5 centimeters and 2 to 3 centimeters in width, and testis is of one pair that is located in the scrotum. The testis and ovary are the primary sex organ in the male and female organism respectively, because this helps in the formation of the male and female gametes. So the testis and ovary, they developed into the abdominal cavity in the intrauterine life, that means during the pregnancy period. So during the intrauterine life, the testis is the one which descends into the scrotum during the 7th month of the intrauterine life, whereas the ovary remain in the abdominal cavity itself. This is because the testes need a temperature about 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius lower than the internal body temperature to the formation of the sperms. And the development of testis occurs in the abdominal cavity and descend via a passage known as the inguinal canal and through the spermatic cord. So the testes move into the scrotum in the 7th month of the intrauterine life from the abdominal cavity via inguinal canal. If the testis fails to descend down, then it is a condition known as the cryptorchidism or the undescent testes. And also there is a surgical methods to descend the testis into the scrotum. In case it has failed to descend itself, this is seen at the time of the birth, and this is corrected by a surgical method known as the orchiopexy. Constriction, that a method of crushing down the testes. This is done to reduce the aggressive behavior of the organism, because because the testis is the one that produces testosterone, which promotes the aggressive behavior of the organism. This is done in the case of ox and bulls, and which are very aggressive organism. That's results in the least aggressiveness behavior of ox and bulls. And in some animals, testes normally remain in the abdominal cavity, but only during the breeding season testes descend down into the scrotum, and it can be seen in the bats and rats. Whereas another condition exists in the elephants. The testes of the elephants, which remain within the abdominal cavity during the all breeding season. So the testes of the elephant, this is vestigial during all the breeding season. Next, I will be discuss about the secondary sex organ, beginning with the scrotum. Scrotum, it is a bag of a skin that holds and help to protect the testicles and the superficial fascia that hangs out the side of the abdominopelvic cavity at the root of the penis, and it is covered by hairs and contains a pair of oval testes, and a middle septum divides the scrotum, providing a compartment for each testis. And this seems a rather vulnerable condition for a man's testis, which contains his entire ability to father offspring. However, because viable sperms cannot be produced in abundance at the core body temperature, that is 37 degrees Celsius, the superficial location of the scrotum, which provides a temperature about 3 degrees Celsius cooler, is an essential adaptation. Furthermore, the scrotum is affected by the temperature that changes when it is cold. The testes are pulled closer to pelvic floor and warmth of the body wall, and the scrotum becomes shorter and heavily wrinkled, and decreasing its surface area and increasing its thickness to reduce heat loss. And when it is warm, the scrotal skin is flaccid and loose to increase the surface area for cooling via sweating, and the testes hang lower and away from the body trunk. So the changes in scrotal surface area helps maintain a fairly constant intrascrotal temperature and reflect the activity of two sets of muscle that responds to the temperature. These are the dartos muscle, which is a layer of smooth muscle in the superficial fascia wrinkles the scrotal skin, and the second is the cremaster muscle, which is bands of skeletal muscle that arises from the internal oblique muscle of the trunk and that elevate the testes. So the temperature of the scrotum is 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius cooler than the internal body temperature. That's the temperature is appropriate for the production of sperm. Next is the vas deferens. It is a tube or duct which stores and it conveys the mature sperm from the testicle to the urethra, and it is about 45 centimeters long and it runs upwards as a part of the spermatic cord from the epididymis through the inguinal canal to the pelvic cavity. And the vas deferens help the sperm to preparation for the ejaculation. And the testicle, the testis and epididymis, they together call the testicle. The next secondary sex organ that involves in the male reproductive system is the seminal vesicle, which is a sac-like gland and that lie on the posterior bladder surface, and each of these fairly large hollow gland is about the shape and length of a little finger, and however the seminal, however, because a seminal gland is pouched, coiled and folded back on itself, and its uncoiled length is actually about 15 centimeter, it releases a fluid that forms the part of the semen, and it produces fructose and energy sources for the sperm. The next is the prostate gland. Prostate gland, it is a size of a walnut and surrounded the neck of the bladder and urethra, and the tube, and it is a tube that carries urine from the bladder, and it is a partly muscular and partly glandular with ducts opening into the prostatic portion of the urethra, and it is made up of 3 lobes, a center lobe with 1 lobe on each side. The prostatic gland secrete a slightly alkaline fluid that forms the part of the seminal fluid, that is a fluid that carries the sperm. So that means it releases additional fluid to ejaculate that serves the nourishment for the sperm. Next is the Cooper's gland. It is a pea-sized structure located on the side of the urethra, and that is just below the prostate gland, and it generates a clear slippery fluid that lubricates the urethra and neutralizes the acidity associated with the residual urine. So the prostate gland and the Cooper's gland, they both lubricate the passage away to the outside of the body through the penis. And there is one important thing, that is the Cooper's gland is also known as the bulbourethral gland. Next is the ejaculatory duct. The ejaculatory duct, it is about 2 centimeters in length, and it is created when the seminal vesicle duct merges with the vas deferens, and through the ejaculatory duct, semen flows out during the ejaculation. Next is the penis. Penis is the male sex organ, and it is the external reproductive organ of the male and used for the both urination and sexual intercourse, and located above the scrotum, made of spongy tissue and blood vessels, and the penis is made up of 2 parts, the shaft and the glans. The glans is the tip of the penis, and while the shaft is the main part of the penis, and it contains the tube, that is the urethra, and that drains the bladder. All boys are born with a foreskin or a covering over the tip of the penis, and some boys are circumcised. This means that this covering of the skin is removed. Other boys are not circumcised and may have skin that covers the tip of the penis. Next is the urethra. This is a tube that allows the urine to flow outside the body. It is also the channel for semen to pass during the ejaculation, and the brain signals the bladder muscle to tighten. This squeeze the urine out of the bladder, and at the same time the brain signals the sphincter muscle to relax to let urine exit the bladder through the urethra. When all the signals happen in the correct order, the normal urination happens. And the urethra also in male vertebrates, urethra also convey semen. The next is the next very important topic which I am going to discuss, that is the semen. So what is semen? Semen is the viscous, creamy, slightly yellowish or greyish substances made up of spermatozoa, and commonly known as the sperm, and a fluid called the seminal fluid that is emitted from the penis. And in other words, the semen contains 2 separate components, that the sperm and the fluid. The sperm cell of the semen are capable to fertilizing the female's ovum, and the pH of the semen is about 7.3 to 7.5. That means the semen is alkaline in nature. So this was all about the human male reproductive system. Thank you for watching the video till the end. And if you like this video lecture, please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you and good luck.